G'day there, this is a very last minute whistle stop tour of the bottom half of the Duncan Road. So we've done the top half before. We're just turning now onto the Duncan Road off the Great Northern Highway. We just decided to take this way home to Kununurra instead of the usual Great Northern Highway all the way back. So we're going to camp overnight. We'd been planning to camp overnight anyway, so this is just a more interesting way to do it. We're going to show you some of the sites that we're interested in along the Duncan Highway and what we come across. The two things you won't see on this tour is you won't see Bradley Lake and Caterpillar, and you won't see the old Halls Creek ruins. So if you want to see those, we've got another video on our channel which is called Caterpillar, which you can have a look at if you want to see the very bottom of the Duncan Road. But because we've already done that, we're going to travel through to all the way through to Kununurra, which is 500 kilometres. The signs just told us. We will just take it easy. I'm going to let the tyres down along the way, so that we're, less chance of a puncture. And it's gravel road. I'm sure it's corrugated. I'm not 100% sure of the condition, but the road's obviously open. It's dry season, so we won't be dealing with any flooding or anything like that. So as soon as we get past the section that we've already done, we'll show you some highlights. And yeah, obviously we've only got about 10-20 kilometres left of bitumen before it turns into gravel dirt road for at least 450 k's. Righto, we'll see you shortly. $28 at the front and $30 at the back, I reckon. That should do the job. It's going to be corrugated, and I'm not sure of the conditions. If I need to, I'll drop it down a bit more as we get started. Well, you got Old Halls Creek, we're just passing now. So this is where the original town site was for Halls Creek back in the day. Looks like there's some sort of rally going on as well, like Variety Bash or something like that. And to the left you've got the actual Halls Creek, which has water in it in the middle of the dry season, so that's encouraging that we might get some water holes along the drive. We're not going to go in and have a look at the ruins or anything like that today. And yep, there's some people driving probably a little bit faster than they should.
And on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, we're about 50 kilometres out of Halls Creek now, down the Duncan. Still heading sort of southeast before it turns around to head due north. And really nice countryside. I really like the Halls Creek country. It's in dry season it is very dry, very red, but you can just so many interesting and fascinating looking rock formations, as I'm hoping you can see in the foreground there. I mean, that's as far as the eye can see pretty much. Anyway, we're not very far from a place called Pit Gorge, and we'll stop and get some footage when we get to Pit Gorge, and that's one of the first stops. Oh sorry, before Pit Gorge we're going to get to Palm Springs, then Pit Gorge. Out and came here when there's some sort of rally bash going on down the Duncan. They're all coming the other way, and some of these vehicles are not built for remote travel, but I guess they're able to support each other. And I'm sure that dust is clouding up all the awesome footage. this beautiful spot is Palm Springs, about 55, 60 k's southeast of Halls Creek. It's a natural spring, so it means it's got water all year round. It's smack in the middle of the dry season now, and there's heaps of water around, and it's clear, fresh water. And the surrounding trees have some palm trees, which is why it's named Palm Springs, and I believe they were as a result of camel drivers back in the day, Afghan camel drivers feeding their camels dates, and then they pooed out the seeds and palm seeds grew. That's what I've been told anyway. Sounds plausible. Anyway, onwards. Just turning down to Saw Pit Gorge. We're not going to camp here, but I want to have a quick look. It's a pretty impressive gorge, similar to Palm Springs, but it's a campsite as well. So I would guess it's going to be pretty busy. It's 4-wheel drive entrance into the campsite, but people with off-road trailers and so on would be able to get in pretty easily. I don't think we're going to camp here anyway, unless this place is amazing. And we have been here a few years back in 2019. God, just before the world changed. Okay, we're just coming to the end of the 4-kilometre drive into Saw Pit Gorge, and I can see it's going to be busy here already. There's a caravan that they've managed to get this far. Must be an off-road one. But the last little bit in is, from memory, is low range, so I'm going to chuck it into low range. And we'll see who's actually down here.
What does that say?
Oh, there's a sign there saying reports of crocodile sightings. You're swimming at your own risk. Now, having said all that, it's most certainly not a saltwater crocodile.
On the track there.
Yep, they can get off the track, can't they? It's a bit of a lean. That's a bit more of a lean than I was hoping for.
Some water.
Yeah, there's a couple here, a nomad couple we've just ruined their afternoon, but it is the way in, so. And there is a gorge. There's actually heaps of water in the gorge. Way more than the last time we come here. But you can see, very popular spot.
You set up to camp.
You can drive up there if you want. See, there's a track up to the top where if you wanted to camp up the higher reaches you can. But we'll just turn around. I'm gonna see if I can get some photos. Definitely some fish in the water because you can see them splashing around, and apparently a couple of freshwater crocodiles. Pretty impressive, but a bit too busy in dry season for us to stay here. Yeah, a lot of water crossings in 2025 at the Halls Creek end, which is good. Hopefully that's the case for a while yet. Always good to have water. Look at that. Wow.
Clumps of spinnerets.
The road's gone from sort of steep, windy, hilly sections. They're averaging about 50 k's or so an hour, and then in the last few kilometres it's opened up, so we're sitting on about 90 k's at the moment. So yeah, the Halls Creek section quite windy and hilly, and you've got to keep your wits about you. And now it's open once you get past that Halls Creek section, but you still have to keep your wits about you because there are divots and potholes, and you have to constantly be looking out, because if you hit a pothole at speed, do a lot of damage to your suspension or something. And we're back into a climbing section. We estimate we've probably got maybe an hour to an hour and a half of quality sunlight before we're driving in the dark. So we're playing it by ear. We don't know where we're camping yet. Whatever looks good. We want to get as much K's done as we can tonight, but we don't really want to drive in the dark, if that makes sense. But we'll smash out as many safe kilometres as we can tonight, and then we'll pull up stumps. So it's suddenly changed from Spinifex to open grassland. Looks like pastoral country, and in fact we're just entering Flora Valley Station now, so we're onto station land. Hopefully you saw those wallabies across the road there. We're running out of sunlight. Looks like we're going to be driving in the dark for a while anyway, but that's alright. We'll just slow down and take it easy. Ideally we want somewhere where there's water so we can wake up somewhere nice. One of the river crossings. The world's bravest wallaby here. There he goes. Well, it's pitch black now, and we've just jumped on briefly to the Bunteen Highway. So as you can see, that busted up sign says that if you drive for another 235 k's you get to Kalkarinji in the Northern Territory, but we don't want to do that. We want to continue north on the Duncan towards Kununurra. So we're just going to go back onto the Duncan Road. I just wanted to see what that sign said, and that's good. So we've actually done all right. We've made it to the intersection of the Bunteen Highway. That Bunteen Highway will actually, if you go all the way on that, it will take you to the Stewart Highway, somewhere south of Daly Waters. Alright, so we are going to Kununurra obviously, and that's good. I'm going to put tracking on now, start tracking. Because, yeah, we know that we've done 176 k's and we've got 325 k's till we get to Kununurra, which means that this track has probably got another 275 k's to go. So another 275 k's and we'll be back on the Victoria Highway, and then we've got a 10k drive to the WA border, and then another 40 odd k's to Kununurra. Yeah, we've left it a little bit late, but we didn't have much choice, unfortunately, and we want to get to a good camp. We don't want to have a shit camp. It's only 5:55 in the evening, so there you go. No services at the community we're coming up to, so we're going to be going straight through to Kununurra, but not tonight. We'll find somewhere to stop tonight. Well, we can't see the scenery unfortunately, but just reporting that the terrain has changed from red dirt temporarily to sort of white, rocky. Although, there you go, it's just gone back to red rock, red dirt and rock. So, scratch all that. We reckon we're probably about 240, 250 k's from the end of this track, the northern end of the Duncan. Well, this is one of several flowing creeks that has plenty of water flowing through. It's even flowing over the crossing here. But The last one was Forest Creek, and that looked like it was private property, so there was someone's residence near there, and there was no access or anywhere for us to camp, and it looks like that one's going to be the same as well. So at the moment we're probably halfway up this road now, and we've covered a fair whack of it in the dark. Didn't think we were going to be doing that, but yeah, there's no roadside, no access to the creek, so we'll shortly be crossing into the Northern Territory, and we'll be driving further into the night. It's 7:15 now. We might be driving till 8:30 before we find a river. All right. 7:22, and we are approaching the Northern Territory border. So the Duncan Road sort of zigzags in and out along the WA-NT border from here on, and we'll probably do several border crossings between now and the end of the track. You can probably see those signs coming up. There's one of those quarantine warning signs from COVID, which doesn't exist, doesn't matter anymore. You wouldn't know it, but this is the Northern Territory border. And that's it. Yeah, they don't even have a sign to say that you're in the Northern Territory. They've just got the quarantine sign up. But yeah, we are most certainly in the Northern Territory now. And we head quite a bit into the Northern Territory by the looks of it. About 20 k's in before it starts arching back towards WA again. Geez, we wanted our dinner by now, but oh, here you go. There's an NT government sign. There you go. Border restrictions currently apply. No, they don't. That was years ago. There you go. Look at that. An Australian bustard or something, isn't it?
They're pretty. Look like they can hardly take off.
Hey, look at what it is. The Negri River. This is
Your research saying.
This is what we were hoping to get to, and we're almost back in WA as well. So this is. Oh, with Em's just spotted a track, so we've got some access here. We'll go down to the river and see what it's like. To be honest, even if it's not that flash, I think we've probably had enough now. I reckon, Em.
Yeah.
There's frogs, there's cane toads, that means there's probably water. There's heaps of water. There's another track. This is going to be camp for tonight. Agreed?
Is that someone there? No, I thought it was someone holding
That's
it.
the WA border up ahead. We're going to drive into camp very soon. I'm going to go back across this and find camp. Happy days, I'm starving. Okay, so we're just driving along the bank of the Negri River, just seeing where the best spot to be will be. It looks like there's a big pool down here, so we might head down here. I wish we'd been able to get here a few hours back, but we'll have some nice pictures in the morning. There's some campsites here, I see. There's no grey nomads here. This is looking like us, Em. Track goes up.
As far as we
I'll have a look.
look where?
good if you can get away from the road.
Yeah. Might be a swim machine going.
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit rough now, isn't it? So we've got 2 slabs of ribs. We're here at camp, by the way. We made it finally, 8:30. We're all set up, rooftop tent. Just a minimal setup today because we don't know what we're doing yet tomorrow. And yeah, 2 big. We bought those at Fitzroy Crossing earlier today, and so we're just going to flame grill them. Meat side on top, half an hour or so. Hastily established fire, and then this is the Negri River here. There's this big pool here. I've managed to spot a few freshwater crocs. In fact, there's one, you can see that shining light there in the middle. I'll get a bit closer. You can see a little dot in the river there. That's a freshwater croc. Forget all those insects. You can see right in the river there, there's a little shiny light there. That's a freshwater croc looking at us. We're right next to the river. There's not much else I can show you tonight, so we're going to kick back and relax. But we've always wanted to come to this spot, and this is the opportunity we've had, so fantastic. See you in the morning. Looking forward to checking out the beauty of this joint. Negri River, Duncan Road. About, I'm going to estimate we're about 150 odd k's from the end of the road. My favourite kind of cooking. Straight over the campfire on the old hot plate, barbecue hot plate. Tomato, mushies, bacon, and we'll do a few eggs up as well. Right, so in daylight we can actually show you the drive in, which is now the drive out of where we camped on the Negri River. We camped next to a pool on the western side, and I just saw on Google Maps there's a pool on the eastern side as well. And funnily enough, when we looked over at the southern western banks, I can see on Google Maps that's the west, that's in Western Australia. So essentially this spot is pretty much right on the NT WA border. This side being NT and the other side being WA. So from what we found, there was a section up in the trees with a bit more shade and next to some deeper pools, which suits our type of camping. And then you can see here, and I'll try and drive along the creek if I can. You can see for the campers, camper trailers and that sort of stuff. This is probably the better spot. So I'll just turn back towards the camp. There you go. So there's a very wide spot here, as you can see, that would suit camper trailers, etc, etc. So it's a good spot, and it's middle of dry season now, and the creek's still flowing, or the river's still flowing, so it must have water most of the year, I would say. Maybe sort of just before build up it dries up, but at the moment, yeah, plenty of water around. And I do want to see if we can find any freshwater crocs, because I've been told that there are quite a few around here. So we'll have a look around and see what we can find. This is the pool on the eastern side of the Negri River crossing. I can't see any freshies at the moment, but I've seen other people's videos where they spot them pretty easily. So I'm not sure what's going on. And now looking at the weir back towards the western side. I'm going to be unlucky today, unfortunately, but well. Still a top spot, and yeah, recommend this as a stopover if you're travelling up the Duncan or down the Duncan. Just breaking camp. Leisurely morning, leisurely breakfast, and we're just about to cross back into Western Australia. But here it is, crossing back into Western Australia, and this cattle grid represents the Western Australian border. There you go, back into WA. We checked maps last night. We're about 190 kilometres from Kununurra, which means we're about 140 kilometres from the northern end of the Duncan Road, and we know 70 kilometres from here is the Ben River, where we've camped in a previous video, which you can check out, which we call the top of the Duncan. So when we get to the Ben River, we're back in charted territory again. So yesterday, not that you would have seen it, but we scooted around the eastern edge of the Bungle Bungles National Park, and today we're going to be scooting around the eastern side of Lake Argyle. I don't think you can actually see either, but what we have noticed in the distance is some red mountain ranges, and I'm going to put it out there and guess that what we're looking at is the Carboyd ranges that surround Lake Argyle. And we know we're roughly parallel with Warman when we looked at the maps on the Great Northern Highway, just on the Duncan Highway. So track's been in reasonable condition. It's a little bit rocky at the moment, but I'll take that over corrugations. We're averaging about 60 kilometres an hour. First vehicle we've seen in, I'm going to say 250 kilometres. So it really is remote and isolated travel. There are trucks and regular vehicles that do use and depend upon this route, but there's no guarantee you're going to see one quickly. You know, you might be waiting for a day or overnight at least before one spots you. So you need to be well organised and prepared to do this track. And there's a sign telling us that we're entering the Shire of Wyndham, East Kimberley, our home shire. So we're getting closer to home. Just arrived at the Ben River. We've camped here before actually, but you can watch that video also. It's called Top of the Duncan. But I just want to have a quick explore because from memory we never looked at this side of the river, so I just want to see if there's anything worth checking out down the western side. This is the riverbed of the Ben River. Just thought we'd drive down and have a look. Yeah, so you can see the crossing there, which we just came over. Over the crossing is a pool that a track runs along on the eastern side, and we've camped up that eastern side before. And it looks like people have camped right here as well, but yep, you can see a few campsites around here. When there's a bit more water, it's probably awesome. Oh, there's a little puddle there as well, a little creek going up there. Okay, so there's a side creek that runs into the Ben River. Did not know that. Anyway, not much water this side of the Ben. Still a fair bit on the other side, so if you're camping at the Ben River, your best bet's going to be the eastern side of the bank from all looks. Not much on the western side, at least not around here. There's a lot of water still hanging around in a lot of the creeks for this late in the season, so that's good. That's positive, I think. And here's the third water crossing of the trip so far, and we're going back again into the NT. And again, there's another out-of-date quarantine sign to tell us that we're in the NT again. So this track really does zigzag along the NT, particularly in the northern half of the track. Just to show you that the trucks and the sheep trucks and the cattle trucks all use this land. I don't want to suck too much of that dirt into my air filter. Just let it go. Yeah, it is a cattle truck route, and you need to remember that when you're driving on here. Yeah, last little point of note before we finish the track. This is Hicks Creek, It looks like it's bone dry at the moment. Oh, there's a couple of pools, but mostly dry. A bit of water up there. One, yeah. There's a small pool left over. In fact, 2 small pools left over. But we've camped here a few times and had a few nice camps here. And that's probably your last decent opportunity for a good camp next to water, Hicks Creek, and you can see that on the other video we made, top of the Duncan. So, but yeah, we very shortly will be at the end and on the bitumen heading back to Kununurra. I think we've got about 20 k's to go. Those hills in the background mean the end of the Duncan Road. That is our first complete, well, that's our first complete transit of the Duncan Road in one sitting, or in one travel leg. We've done sections of it before, but that's the first time we've done the whole thing in one caboodle. And there you go. So some 450 kilometres from Halls Creek. Duncan Road comes to an end on the Victoria Highway. You can see the sign there saying that it's left to Kununurra and the WA border, and it's right to go on to Katherine and Darwin. But here we are back on the tarmac. Only about 50 kilometres to go now to Kununurra. We've got one more job to do, and that is to air down, or air up I should say, and put the tyre pressure down, up back into the tyres. So I'll pop into this gravel pit across the road and get that done now. And here is the 4th and final border crossing from Northern Territory back into Western Australia of the journey. And this is the most significant one, so there's actually a fruit quarantine stop here, and you can see there's a bit of a backlog as well, so I could be waiting for a while. And the saltwater crocodile warning sign tells you that we're back in Western Australia. I'm back in the East Kimberley and very close to Kununurra. We've just got to scoot past Thompson Springs here, and we'll be back 40 k's to Kununurra. The end of the journey. So we left Halls Creek at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and we drove through the evening and afternoon, to check out Palm Springs and Sawtooth Gorge, and then we drove into the night till about 8 o'clock and camped at the Negri River, and then we drove home this morning over about 2.5 hours via the Ben River and Hicks Creek, and then onto the Victoria Highway and through the state border. So we're back in Kununurra. It's a good alternative route to the Great Northern Highway if you're organised. So it is remote travel, there's no service stations, you need to have fuel for about 600 kilometres worth of travel, you need food, water, emergency contact gear, recovery gear. Yeah, you need to be organised to do it, but if you are organised and well prepared, then it's a great little trip, and hope you enjoyed it. Okay, we're just about to come into town, so I will see you on the next